Greetings and welcome to a new narration done by Dr. Torment. The following story may or may not prove rather sensitive to some listeners. Discretion is advised, and consider this your one and only warning. Now, with that out of the way, let us proceed. It is not an easy task to deliver 100 human hearts, and I know that it is grisly work. The ones that come to me are beautiful, drained of blood, and presented in boxes of fine cedar, sometimes even on purple satin pillows. Because I must consume a heart each day, it is necessary for me to keep many suitors at once. Better to eat too many hearts than risk a day without. Some days, 6 boxes litter my doorstep, each bearing a different signature. I tell the man that whoever can deliver 100 hearts can have me forever. But no one has yet to deliver even 80. Enough centuries have now passed that I see the prize as an illusion at this point. I've become convinced that my worthy mate will never come. At night, I sing sweetly from the high window of my home, a song inaudible to all but a few, but those who hear it can imagine the sweetness of my body and all of the promises awaiting them. And then, just last week, I went from 3 suitors to just 1. On subsequent nights, one suitor killed both his rivals, gifting me their hearts. Though such competitiveness generally doesn't serve my interest, the maid in me blushed at his jealousy. These were his 94th and 95th offerings. When I consumed the hearts, I taste the moment of each death. Stabbed, shot, choked, dropped, bludgeoned, poisoned, gouged, there is no flavor I tire of. A few new suitors begin their offerings, leaving the hearts of the enfeebled and elderly on simple beds of straw. I choke down these offerings, but I do not like it. At night, I sing to these men that they are unworthy. Then, just today, a 99th box sits on my doorstep. It contains the heart of a giant, a man at least 7 feet tall. It is a message, the largest heart I've ever consumed. The heart took ages to cook, and as it sizzles, I imagine my suitor. Is he a giant too, to be capable of killing this very particular prey? All night I lay awake, wondering if the 100th heart will come. Will it finally happen? Or, like so many others, will he end up on the wrong end of a hangman's rope? Will he go for easy prey, a nightwalk or a child? Or will he top even the giant's hat, presenting some impossible gift? In the morning, I wake to find a man, a boy really, no older than 18. He is cold and lifeless on my doorstep, a dagger protruding from his chest, a self-inflicted wound. And I know in my dark heart that he is my beloved. The 100th heart is his. I take him inside and shower his body with kisses. Then I get my own knife and begin to carve. His blood stains my hands, my white dress, my sharpened teeth as I cry tears of joy. For what is love but doing the dirty work yourself? Nancy had just gotten home from work when she checked her mailbox and noticed it was full. Most were just bills, coupons, and spam newsletters. She lost interest midway and threw the bundle on the kitchen table, sending envelopes everywhere. One particular envelope caught her attention. The size and shape were not like the others, and it had no return address on it. Her curiosity had gotten the better of her, and she used a kitchen knife to open the strange envelope and spill out the contents. It contained only a single piece of oxblood red paper. She turned the paper over, scrutinized each side, looking for a message or writing of any kind. But the paper was blank. She thought it was a prank and was not at all amused. She huffed as she tossed a piece of paper onto the counter and left the kitchen. The paper landed on the counter and began to fold itself into a 6-inch tall origami demon. It laughed a tiny mischievous laugh and ran after Nancy. It caught up to her and sank its paper fangs into her ankle. It felt like a paper cut, and she cried out. She kicked it away, causing it to jump off before cackling impishly, and ran away. It was then that Nancy realized what this letter was all about. It was a prank. A revenge prank, of course. But she couldn't understand why anyone would want revenge against someone like her. She thought herself to be better than the average person, and so was incapable of offending others. Sure, she did make mistakes and piss people off from time to time, but they were only minor issues. Such as the time when she called the police on her neighbor when their baby shower music had been too loud. Or when she sprayed her prize hibiscus with chemicals because the neighbor's dog liked playing in them. The chemicals she used had killed the dog, but that wasn't her fault. It was her yard and her flowers, so she could do whatever she wanted. She searched the house for the little demon when she heard a crash coming from the living room. She ran into the room to see it had knocked over a priceless antique vase. It laughed as it ran back into the kitchen. She followed it and saw it throwing food items from the pantry. It was making such a big mess on the floor. So Nancy snuck up behind it and caught it by the horns, and quickly tore it into pieces before it could bite her again. Satisfied, she swept up the pieces and threw them into the trash. That night, as she slept, she heard a familiar, tiny, mischievous laughter. Her eyes flew open to see that the torn pieces of paper had folded themselves into a dozen tiny paper demons. They were standing on her bed, holding a kitchen knife into their little paper hands, as if it were a medieval battering ram. Before she could react, they stabbed the knife into her throat. It was an average morning when it all started. I wished I hadn't looked into the mirror that day. It was strange. My reflection was different. My eyes were a bit off, my skin looked pale, and it looked like I was smiling, even though I wasn't. It was a scary experience. I was always creeped out by mirrors, but I thought maybe I was sick. Later in the day, I had a meeting with my friend, and I was curious if he could see these strange features on me. "Do I look pale?" I asked him. "Nope," he shook his head. "Absolutely not. Why?" "Just asking. I looked a bit ill in the morning." Maybe it was just a lightning that tricked me, I thought to myself. I woke up the next day and I already forgot about it. But as I looked into the mirror again, I almost jumped back. I looked even worse than the day before. My eyes became darker, like you could barely see I had pupils. I was paler than before. I looked like I had some kind of serious illness. I wanted to make sure, so I quickly went back to my room and took a selfie. To my surprise, I looked completely normal on the photo. Suffice to say, I was confused. What the hell was going on? Maybe the mirror had some damage that caused this illusion. Or maybe just the bathroom lights. I don't know. I was thinking about doing some experiments with the mirror, but I was already late from work, so I just left it there. The following day, I woke up earlier than usual. I was shaking a little bit as I opened the bathroom door, afraid of what I will see in that damn mirror. As I slowly approached it, I could already see my reflection. My eyes were totally black, like in some kind of horror movie with the black-eyed children. My skin was as white as fresh snow, and the most disturbing thing was the fact that my reflection was widely smiling at me like some kind of maniac. Of course, I was shocked. I stood there for about a minute, but it felt like hours were passing by. I couldn't even breathe. I finally looked down and noticed my hands and legs were shaking. When I finally calmed down, I took a picture of the mirror. It looked the same in the picture too. Then I finally grabbed the mirror and I took it outside, still naively hoping that the lights were tricking me. I hoped it was just some kind of optical illusion, even though I didn't even believe it anymore. The reflection was the same. It was just like me, but so much more uglier and scarier, like some evil demon who tried to look like me. My brain tried to process what was happening, trying to find a logical explanation for the events. But it failed. I put that cursed thing back in the bathroom and then went to sleep, or at least tried to get sleep. But I started to get really paranoid from what was happening. After hours of thinking, I finally fell asleep. I was lucky I didn't have to go to work the next day. When I woke up, I decided to avoid that bathroom at all costs, as long as I could. I couldn't believe it when I pulled curtains and I could see the same horrible reflection in my bedroom window. I screamed, but for some reason, I still remained there, not moving an inch from where I was. I had absolutely no idea what to do. Who knows if that thing can follow me anywhere or not? I felt like I wasn't safe in my own fucking room. Then I finally decided what to do. I slammed the bathroom door open. I picked up a steel hammer to break the fucking mirror in pieces, hoping that it would stop the other me from appearing ever again. As I was ready to hit the mirror, I dropped the hammer to the ground from the shock. There was a mirrored sentence written on the glass. It was blood red. Considering the absurdity of the whole situation, maybe it was written with blood.
Let me out.
I ran out of the bathroom, and then I ran out of the house, trying to catch my breath. I opened my phone and sent a picture of the reflection to my friend. I told him what happened. "That's messed up," he texted back a few minutes later. "Maybe you should move out, man. That's unreal. I've no idea what to say. I thought you were joking." We texted for another few minutes, then I went back to the house. I thought I was going crazy. The other me wrote the exact same sentence on every window, even my TV.
Let me out.
I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I had to leave this house, obviously. I spent the rest of the day trying to figure out where to go, meanwhile avoiding looking at my own windows. My parents live in another city. I was thinking about asking my friend if I could stay in his home for a few days. But at that exact moment, he messaged me. "Please help. Since you sent me that picture, I see the same thing, but it's my reflection instead of yours. Whatever this is, you brought it to my house. Please try to find out how to stop this. I'm going crazy." I was terrified. I felt guilty. It was my fault that this thing reached him too. And then I remembered what I wanted to do not a few hours before. I went back up to the bathroom and I picked up the hammer from the ground. I looked into the eyes of the other me and then hit the mirror with the hammer. It was gone. The other me was gone. I felt happy and relieved. I managed to do it. I checked out every window in my house, and my reflection was normal. I defeated it. Then, as I looked out the window, I froze. The thing was standing in my courtyard, and it wasn't a reflection anymore. It was the other me standing there, constantly changing its face, resembling hundreds of humans. I didn't defeat it. I let it out. Case file 023912. The following is from a series of journal entries by an Alexander Kennedy that have been turned over to the proper authorities. They read as followed. April 12, 2018, 11:12 a.m. I barely slept last night. Some weird noise kept waking me up. Almost sounded like scratching at my window. But every time I'd walk over and open the blinds, thinking I'd see a cat or some shit like that, nothing would be there. Probably the kid next door playing around again. I swear next time he won't find it so funny when I put my boot up his ass. Got a hot day tonight, though. Hoping it goes a lot smoother than the last one did, and I actually get some action. Not like that feisty prude from a few days ago, that fucking bitch. She would have liked what I had to give if she accepted it. Whatever. Never have to worry about her again. 13th of April, 2018, 10:17 a.m. What a night. I was happy not to get any sleep this time around. That one had curves in all the right places and really knew how to please a man. I didn't even mind that she wanted to crash here. I even got a little extra something this morning for my hospitality. I hated seeing her go, but damn did I love watching her leave. Heard that weird sound again last night. Gonna go have a chat with the kid next door in a minute. The weird thing was, all night I had this weird feeling like I was being watched. Probably all the jealous guys checking out my score. 15th of April, 2018, 4:17 a.m. I saw something. I don't know what it was, but I'm certain it was a person outside of my window. I was woken up by that fucking scratching noise again, so I ran over to the window to tell the kid next door to fuck off. And I swear, for just a second, I thought I saw her. But no one was there, I'm sure of it. Probably had a few too many drinks last night. Yeah, that must be it. Had a chat with the boy next door's father today. Told the guy that if his son kept fucking with me, I'd be goddamn sure he'd regret that. Still the 15th of April, 2018, 2:27 p.m. Had a chat with the boy next door's dad today. Told him that if his son kept fucking with me, I'd make sure he'd goddamn regret that. Then he tried to threaten me, so I smacked him around a little. I didn't want to, but, well, no one disrespects me and gets away with it. I told him that it would be a lot worse if his kid fucks around again at night. He changed his tune after that. God, I hate living here. 16th of April, 2018,
10:11 a.m. I know this sounds crazy, but I saw her again, just outside my window, staring at me. I heard the scratching on the window again, so I threw open the blinds to let the kid have it. But it was her. Just for a minute. Just staring at me. She looked terrible, pale and blue. What the fuck is going on? Why am I seeing this? It can't be real. It just can't be. I shook it off and went back to sleep. Felt like I was being watched again, but I tried ignoring it. Seeing my score, Mandy from the other night again. I'm not usually into repeats, but she's a woman of many talents. Says she likes guys who can be rough with her. Well, she's got no idea how rough I can be. Maybe I'll give her a taste. April 20th, 2018, 4:20 p.m. Had to make an entry for today at this time. Enjoying a nice bowl of vegetable soup as I write this. Keep seeing that fucking girl everywhere now. But I'm also high as a kite, so maybe that's why. It must be. Don't think I'll be hearing from that hot piece of ass Mandy again. Apparently, I was a little too rough with her. She's got no idea. Ah well. On to the next one.
Investigator's note. At this time in the journal entries, there was a full page of odd phrases in a different handwriting. The phrases were as followed. I know, you know, and they know. Followed with never rest, never safe. And finally, why? How come? Why?
April 24th, 2018, 2:19 p.m. Okay, I'll admit, I'm freaked out now. Some weird shit has been going on. The fucking journal page before this one? The fuck was that about? That bitch from the other night must have written it before she left. Talk about a goddamn fucking psycho. That being said, I also keep seeing her. All the time. I see her in the mirror when I'm getting ready. I see her outside of my window constantly. And I even see her now when I'm driving around. Just staring at me. The fuck does she want from me? What did she think would happen? Fucking bitch, this can't be real. I must be going crazy. Must be. 28th of April, 2018, 12:19 p.m. I know it's been a few days. Been dealing with a lot of shit. That girl. I see her. I don't have any doubts anymore. I woke up this morning and she was at the foot of my bed, staring at me. I asked if she had come back for another chance at me, to accept my advances this time around. She let out this scream. It was fucking horrible. Her mouth got so large and was just a dark void. My ears are still ringing. What does she want? To fucking torment me? I didn't do shit. She did this to herself. Fucking hell.
Investigator's note. At this point in the journal entries, there are about 10 pages just with the word liar written over and over again on them. And with a similar handwriting as before, it seems. There are no more entries in this journal, however, another book was provided.
11th of May, 2018, 10:32 p.m. Had to get a new journal. She fucked the other one up. Why is she doing this? Can she still do it? I don't know anymore. I do know that I'm fucking exhausted. It feels like I haven't slept in weeks. I do think about it, and about her. What was I supposed to do? Fucking hell, I need a drink. 13th of May, 2018, 12:21 p.m. I can't even have a shower in peace anymore without that bitch following me. I see her through the steam, staring at me with her pale blue skin and her bloodshot eyes. I told her to fuck off, but she wouldn't. She kept creeping closer and closer to me until she was right in front of my nose in the shower. I tried to grab her, but she let out another fucking scream. It resonated off the shower walls, and I got a fucking nosebleed. That fucking bitch. 17th of May, 2018, 11:19 p.m. So now it seems I can't even jerk off in fucking peace anymore. She just sits there and stares at me. And let me tell you, nothing gets me harder than a chick watching me. But this is fucking different. This goddamn bitch. I just need some alone time. I offered her a whack at it and she screamed at me again. Last time I'm doing any shit like that. 23rd of May, 2018, 6:12 a.m. Okay, I'm done. I admit it, I'm freaking the fuck out. Even I have my limits. I woke up because I felt this weird feeling, and when I opened my eyes, she was hovering above me and screamed. I saw the darkness in her mouth, the endless void. I begged her to leave me alone and told her I was sorry for what happened. She just kept screaming. I just ran out of the apartment, and when I came back, she was standing in the corner of the room with her back to me. She hasn't moved since. I don't know what she's gonna do next. I need to figure this shit out. 25th of May, 2018, 4:12 p.m. I saged the fuck out of my apartment. I read online that's how you get rid of ghosts or some shit, but I didn't do a goddamn thing. At first I thought she was really gone. So I decided to have a celebratory beer. Then when I closed the fridge and turned around, she was right there in my face. She screamed at me again. I hate it. I hate it. I hate the feeling it gives me, like I'm looking into hell itself. I don't believe any of that shit, but maybe I do now. Fucking bitch. Fucking bitch.
Investigator's note. 2 pages of the journal in a similar but different still handwriting than Kennedy's, only 2 words seem to be repeated throughout the pages. Do it.
2nd of June, 2018, 10:12 a.m. What's there to write anymore? I wake up, she's there. I take a shit, she's there. I get takeout, she's there. And every time I think she's gone, I let my guard down. I turn around, and she's right there, in my face, screaming at me. She left me another message. Just do it. Like, the fuck does she mean with that? I don't know, but she can go fuck herself. I'm sure as shit not letting her win this. June the 4th, 2018, 6:28 p.m. Heard from Mandy. Said she decided she wanted to play again. To be very honest, I'm not sure if I'm up for it. But I've never been one to turn down some action. Told her to come by and bring some food. Haven't had much of an appetite lately. So, hoping she can work one up. June the 5th, 2018, 10:45 a.m. Mandy left in a hurry last night. She was only here for about an hour, and right before we could get started, Mandy got really nervous and just said she had to go. She practically ran out of here. I got really mad. I wanted to grab her and show her what happens when I'm disrespected in such a way. But I couldn't. I saw her again. That fucking bitch. In the corner, just staring at me with that judgmental look. So I let Mandy go.
Investigator's note. At this point in the journal, there's another repeated word in the similar but different handwriting. Just the word, why? This word is repeated through the entire journal on every page, front to back.
June the 23rd, 2018. Who cares, oh fucking clock? I see her anytime my eyes are open, and even now when they're not. She's always there, always following me. I tell her to leave me alone, and she just screams at me. She keeps leaving me messages. Why? You know why, you fucking bitch. You know why. I can't go on like this. I'm so tired. I haven't eaten in days. She won't stop.
Investigator's note. At this point in the journal, the phrase, "I'm sorry," is repeated on 50 pages front to back. However, this time it's in the same handwriting as the other entries made by Alexander Kennedy.
June the 30th, 2018, 10:11 a.m. All right, you win. I'm sorry. No, I am. Yes, I know what I did. I know what I did to you. I'm sorry. What can I do? I can't do that. I can't. I'm scared. Yes, I'm scared, okay? I don't want to know what it feels like. I just don't. fine, alright, just stop screaming. Please, just stop screaming. I said I was sorry. 4th of July, 2018, 9:47 p.m. Stop, please, stop. Just stop screaming, please stop. I can't, I'm scared, I can't. 8th of July, 2018, 2:13 p.m. I can't. Please stop. Don't scream anymore. I can't hear anything but the screams anymore. 9th of July, 2018, 11:12 p.m. It's time. I'm going now. She wins. I lasted 4 months, but she won. I'm sorry. I'll do it. I'm going.
The journal entries end here. Alexander Kennedy walked into the police station at approximately 11:30 p.m. on the 9th of July and surrendered himself to the authorities. Since then, Kennedy has confessed to the brutal murder of a 24-year-old girl exactly 4 months ago on the night of the 9th of April 2018. Kennedy has been extremely cooperative, informing the officers of where the crime took place, as well as divulging the exact time that he killed her, which is coincidentally also at 11:30 p.m. And lastly, the place where he had dumped her body. The remains of the missing girl were found at the exact location, and the cause of death lined up with Alexander Kennedy's confession. When asked about why he murdered her, he informed police that she wouldn't put out and that she disrespected him. He also informed them to read his journals. The officers present at the confession asked why a man with his very apparent attitude towards women and lack of respect would even think of confessing to a murder like this, to which Mr. Kennedy only responded with the following:
She wouldn't stop screaming.
Alexander Kennedy had no more visions of the girl after he confessed to her murder and is currently serving a life sentence. The girl's remains were laid to rest on July the 30th, 2018. Ghosts aren't supposed to age, but not Tommy. He was killed when he was but 3 years old, its little body brutally crushed in a hit and run outside his home. He had been standing on the pavement holding his mummy's hand when he was distracted by a sparrow on the road. Squirming out of Anna's clutch, he ran out. He was dead an instant later. Poor Anna, shocked by what she had just seen, could barely remember the color of the car as it sped away. Tommy was their only child. Anna and Mark, Tommy's father, had no more children, continuing to live quietly in the same house. and Tommy played on the street, sometimes on his red tricycle, sometimes kicking a red ball with Scooby-Doo on it. He seemed harmless enough, only wanting to be close to his home and parents. He never went inside. It was only after a couple of years people realized that Tommy was getting older. Mary and a couple of other neighbors tried to talk to Anna, but she looked rather blank, as if hardly understanding who Tommy was. By the time Tommy would have been 10, it was a common sight on that street. A boy pedaling furiously on a tricycle with his knees bent up to his ears. Mary once brought it up at a local meeting. She was Anna and Mark's next-door neighbor with 3 kids of her own.
Something has to be done. The boy is growing bigger every day. Someone will get hurt.
The others looked at her politely, and nothing was done. Years passed. Tommy was becoming a man, a young, handsome man with a shock of bright hair and a fierce smile, pedaling around chasing sparrows on the road just outside their house. Drivers who didn't know would brake to a sharp stop, jump out, only to see nothing. It was the evening of his 18th birthday. Anna stood on the pavement, the exact spot she had been standing so many years ago. One of Mary's kids came by and stood next to her. Together, they watched Tommy kick a Scooby-Doo ball, a tall, lean man on the cusp of life. Mary's kid turned to Anna. "I saw you. You pushed him. And it was his dad's car." Anna gasped. She had been waiting for this moment, for someone to tell her what they had done. Tommy then stopped kicking the ball and looked at his mum. A flame burned in his eyes, the sunlight set his hair on fire, and he smiled, that fierce toddler smile, crooked on a young man. Anna shook her head. "I couldn't be a mom. I hated every second. I wanted my own life back. And so did Mark." Tommy held his hand out to Anna. She stepped on the street. The sudden squealing of brakes and her scream ripped through the calm street. This time, Mark didn't speed away. He came out of the car and looked down silently at his wife's broken body. Tommy was gone. A few days ago, I was out on a morning hike in my local forest, on a trail I had walked 100 times before. It's a 5-mile loop that passed by a creek and was just isolated enough to feel like a refreshing sojourn away from all the suburbs without being too remote. It was a bit of a surprise to me when I came across a fence about a mile into my walk, right across where the trail normally continued. There was a sign that said something along the lines of "Government property, no trespassing," and I sighed in annoyance.
I'd been down this very same trail nearly a week prior, and the fence and sign hadn't been there before. I almost turned around, but it was such a nice day, and the trail was so short, I figured it wouldn't be too big of a deal if I just hopped the fence and finished my hike. I could find another route the next time. I didn't see a security camera or anything else like that, so I simply hopped the fence and continued with my walk, annoyed that it may be the last time I would be able to hike on that trail. It's a beautiful area, and I stopped occasionally to listen to the birds or smell the fresh air. After about 2 miles or so, I reached the creek and decided to sit down and simply enjoy the view. As I took a swig from my thermos of hot tea, listening to the gentle burbling of the nearby stream, I had almost forgotten about the fence. Out in the forest like this, I felt like I was one with the sublimity of nature. Everything was just so quiet, calm, and serene. After a few minutes, though, I began to feel uneasy. It took me a moment to realize why. There were no birds singing. I hadn't noticed at first because the creek was so close by that it provided its own ambient noise, but once I was aware of the birds' absence, the silence was deafening. A couple years back, I had an experience with a mountain lion. It was on a different trail, but in the same general part of the state. I recalled that all the birds had gone quiet, instinctively silencing themselves in the presence of the beast. It had simply come down out of the bushes, walking across the trail before looking at me rather curiously. Luckily, I had managed to keep my wits about me and succeeded in scaring off the cougar with a combination of yelling and flapping my jacket to make myself look bigger. As soon as it departed, the chirping of birds returned. After that day, I always carried a small air horn with me on hikes. I reached into my bag and pulled out the air horn, looking around cautiously in search of anything that could be scaring off the birds. I didn't see anything and was almost on the verge of simply pressing down on the air horn preemptively when I heard a snap far away on my right. Turning cautiously, I strained my eyes to see what could have caused the noise, the air horn at the ready. Knowing what I do now, it is very possible that if I had chosen to use the horn, I wouldn't be here to tell my story. Though at first it blended with the trees and bushes, I noticed the deer rather quickly. I relaxed a little, exhaling in relief as I put the air horn back into my bag with shaking hands. It still felt uneasy, though. Even at this distance, I could tell that there was something off about the animal, and the bird still hadn't returned. Staying quiet and lying low, I grabbed my binoculars and took a closer look at the distant deer. It was a buck with a beautiful set of antlers. This already struck me as somewhat odd, as most of the bucks around here had long since shed their antlers at this point. Even stranger, however, was the structure of the antlers. Rather than two large antlers with multiple points facing upwards, it seemed more like 6 to 10 spikes extending out from the skull. Upon further inspection, the deer was malnourished, emaciated even, with clumps of fur missing. As I watched, It hobbled feebly on unsteady legs towards the river, lowering its head to drink. My thought was that it must have been suffering from a chronic wasting disease, perhaps coupled with a bit of mange. I felt sorry for the animal, and with sadness continued to watch it through my binoculars. Then, its antlers twitched. It didn't look like they were going to fall off due to shedding or anything like that. The points moved outward slightly, like a hand unclenching from a fist. As soon as the antlers twitched, the deer stood up from its drink, eyes wide, almost as if it was standing at attention. As I watched, the now clearly articulated antlers further stretched, bending until the points touched the side of the buck's head. Then they began to push. As I watched in stunned horror, something ripped itself out of the deer's skull with a disgusting crack of splintering bone. The objects I previously thought to be antlers were in fact the spider-like legs of some sort of horrible monstrosity. My hands were shaking too much to get a clear view, but it was somewhat crab-like in appearance, with sharp mouthparts and beady black eyes. As soon as the creature pulled itself fully free from the skull, the deer's corpse fell down limply into the stream, its bright red blood polluting the fresh water. The antler thing scuttled off rapidly into the tree line, disappearing in an instant. As soon as it was out of sight, I ran as fast as I could down the trail, not stopping until I had jumped over another fence and got back into my car. When I finally arrived home, I vomited on the side of the road. I called out of work for the next couple days, claiming that I was feeling ill, which, to be fair, I was. I have no possible idea what that thing was. All I do know is that I won't be going on any hikes again anytime soon. And so we've come to the end of our session. I would like to take a moment here to thank all you listeners who have joined us in this session. I would also like to go ahead and invite everyone attending to go ahead and check the link found in the description below. It is the source of this particular story and the original creator, so do give them a special thanks and do let them know who it was that sent you their way. Your support means a lot, and I cannot stress this enough, so please consider liking, commenting, and even subscribing to the channel. Then lastly, for those who are willing, consider having a look at our Patreon page and keep up to date with our latest narrations and some other opportunities. This was Dr. Torment bidding you adieu, and remember, don't fall asleep ever.